Aaron Rodgers looking forward to reuniting with Davante Adams on the field. Looking spry with a healed hamstring that really flared up in Vegas. Here's Aaron Rodgers.
He's staying with me for the short term, so went right into some of the signals, and he was about 95%. And he knows kind of the original to the second iteration to the third and on down. So his knowledge of the game is pretty extensive. Obviously, looks like he's drinking the elixir from the fountain of youth as I watch some of his clips.
There you go. Steelers defense this season, no slouch. So it's not just going to be bombs away for Aaron and Davante. It's going to be pretty tough. How much added pressure, Nick, is on the four-time MVP?
I mean, it's just absolutely massive because there's no excuses and there's no if this season goes as it's going, right, which is poorly, and they miss the playoffs and that's it for Aaron. This isn't how the legends end. The legends who change teams. Joe Montana went to Kansas City, played 2 years, made the playoffs both years, made an AFC championship game. Brett Favre went to the Jets and then to the Vikings. With the Jets, had a winning record that year when he played, got hurt. The next year, Vikings, NFC championship game, and then the final year was disaster. Peyton, 4 years in Denver, 4 playoff appearances, 2 Super Bowl appearances, and a Super Bowl victory, even though he wasn't very good that year, but still, he won an MVP there. Tom Brady, 3 years in Tampa. 3 playoff appearances, a Super Bowl victory, second in MVP. Guys, Phillip Rivers made the damn playoffs with the Colts. Yeah. The Drew Brees at the end was a perennial playoff team, and they lost. Like, Big Ben thought he was going to miss the playoffs at the end, did a victory lap around the stadium, and then they ended up making the playoffs and got blasted by, I don't know if that was the Chiefs or the Browns that year, but whatever it was. Yeah, and so this, for Aaron, for it to go miss the playoffs with the Packers, then miss a season with injury, and then a coach firing, what will be looked at as a failed desperation trade, again, if things don't turn around, and that's it, that is a sad whimper to the end of a first ballot Hall of Fame, top 10 all-time quarterback career. And I think that's the direction we're going. I just don't see any evidence that Aaron Rodgers is still even above average NFL quarterback. And so I think it's massive pressure because they have been talking like this will be the final piece.
You think he's charging Davante rent?
No, I don't. I think he's letting him stay.
Yeah. You get the coach fired, and we could pretend that you didn't get the coach fired, but you got the coach fired. And you probably had more of a hand in it than you're currently letting on. So there's that. You blew up Mike Williams. Yeah. So you did that, and maybe he's going to have to change teams now. You got the guy that you wanted, and this is a legitimate weapon and a weapon that should fit right into the mix right away. You have everything that you could have possibly asked for. Now, maybe you can go to the owner and say, hey, give Hassan Riddick some money so we can get him on defense. That's really the only other move the Jets can make at this point. There's no more dark rooms to hide in. It's everything has been stripped away. I don't know who else the offensive coordinator made a switch. Like, right. What are you going to do next? Where's the next hiding spot? At some point, you've got to produce. And to whom much is given, much is expected. And the organization, to Woody's credit, has done everything they can to make you as happy and comfortable as you possibly can be. And not all owners will do that. So I do give them credit for that. So now you have to produce. You just have to produce.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys have said. I mean, the pressure is sky high now on Aaron Rodgers. Everything else has been moved. And the defense has played well. It's like now it's on you. The only way there'd be more pressure on him is if he was 30 years old and he was in his prime. Or 35. Yeah. I think if he was in his prime and like he came from Green Bay to New York in his prime, and this was happening, that'd be huge pressure because then you're really talking about legacy.
Well, it's like
now,
it's the Russell Wilson.
And he has
Yeah,
Denver.
yeah.
It's like Russell Wilson.
But he was so much better than even
Yes,
Russell
but
that,
still,
but still.
it looked at
like
as in your
Russell's
prime.
Hall of Fame candidacy is now in major jeopardy.
Yes.
And so
but the age
that
thing can't be an issue. He had the ability to heal faster than any human being last year. He has access to the fountain of youth. Like that's
well,
fine
he
too.
thought. See that's one, and that's where the legacy. Like on the one hand, he's 40. There's no shame in not being good at 40 anymore, and you're coming off an Achilles tear, so that could save him. The fact that it's in New York, though. Like, that's interesting because things are magnified when they're in New York. And he clearly thought he was the same Aaron Rodgers. So I think ultimately, like, let's say it does go the way you're saying, Nick. He retires. I mean, I think the fact that he's old and people will just be like, he was washed and he didn't know it. I don't know that it's going to really impact his legacy.
There's no shame if you're 40 if you're not blowing up everybody in your path along the way.
But his image already was messed up, as far as people, what they think about his personality and his image and things he says and all that. That's where he's hurt his legacy to some degree, is all the comments he's made. Do you think it's really going to impact
listen,
how we view him?
Well, I do think that when we are doing the all-time quarterback rankings, everything has to matter. This is, I'm not having a Jordan LeBron thing, but every year you play matters. For good or for bad, it all matters. Your resume is your resume.
I hear you, but does it? Because now Aaron Rodgers is not the Michael Jordan of his sport. But those years in Washington, nobody really looks at those.
Well,
and then there's other.
We're working on changing that.
But also, it would be different.
you know what I mean?
Jordan's like, you know what?
I'm going to come back here and lead Washington. Well, yeah, that's fair.
And
he didn't even go in with those.
I can tell you with Brett Favre having that experience with another former Green Bay Hall of Fame quarterback, he was a great teammate. He bought into the things we were trying to do. He wanted to be part of the process. He wanted to be coached. He wanted to fit in with the guys. Like that stuff. But we knew
that with Rodgers when he was in Green Bay.
The personality stuff I'm not saying it's unimportant, but it's one thing. My point is, all the other guys that changed teams had at least one kick-ass year. Peyton won an MVP, set all the records. Yeah. Tom Brady finished second in MVP. Joe Montana was awesome his first year in Kansas City. Who's the guy I'm forgetting? Oh, Favre finished second in MVP voting that year with Minnesota. Aaron Rodgers, as a Jet, we can show you his numbers quickly, I think, Hubs, this year. Guys, this is the point I've been trying to make. And then we can show you his last 2 healthy seasons. One of them was in Green Bay. He is giving you Derek Carr production. So again, I just removed Carr's 2023 season because Aaron didn't play. Tried to find the passer rating is identical. The wins or losses is almost identical. The yards per game is identical, and so that's what hurts it a lot, in my opinion.
The legacy.
Yes,
because I think he had but does that impact your legacy?
It does.
He had 14-ish.
Yes. But
great
I guess
seasons.
My point is, when somebody at some point is trying to do Aaron Rodgers versus Drew Brees, tail of the tape, and it's like, well, Brees never won an MVP.
Somebody's taking Brees over Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, I think so.
Really? Oh,
absolutely.
No,
because I think the argument would be, at the end, was still really good. Second all-time yards, second all-time. I don't have all of Brees' stuff in front of me, but he had the touchdowns record or the yards record. Then Brady took it from him. Like again,
but Rodgers still has the second most MVPs.
No, the MVPs thing for him. But my point is, it will come up within Rodgers versus Favre. This will come up. 3 MVPs to 4. One guy went to 2 Super Bowls. One guy went to 1. Favre, at the end, had a real
But you think,
song.
so when you're talking, because I would imagine you have Rodgers ahead of Favre.
Probably.
I do.
I don't.
And this, you might, okay, I know you great situation with Favre. But I think most people have him ahead of Favre. I don't think this changes it.
He knows kind of the original to the second iteration to the third and on down. So His knowledge of the game is pretty extensive. Obviously, it looks like he's drinking the elixir from the fountain of youth as I watch some of his clips.
There you go. Steelers defense this season, no slouch. So it's not just going to be bombs away for Aaron and Devontae. It's going to be pretty tough. How much added pressure, Nick, is on the 4-time MVP?
I mean, it's just absolutely massive because there's no excuses and there's no. If this season goes as it's going, which is poorly, and they miss the playoffs, and that